Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with another weekly check-in video. I know I missed last week and I was going to apologize, but actually I just want to say thank you to those that watch my videos and just know that I've been really tired and I decided to prioritize taking care of me versus forcing myself to post something. I do appreciate those that watch my videos, those that comment, those that subscribe. I'm trying to be consistent, so I appreciate you guys being understanding that I'm very busy just like everybody else. I have 2 small businesses and a family, so sometimes those things can get a little chaotic and sometimes a girl just needs to rest. So this is going to be for the week of, I don't even know what today is. I think today is the 23rd, so Sunday the 23rd through March 29th, which would be Saturday. So I wanted to use a Star Tarot, which is funny because I did film a deck review and I have just been so busy that I did not post it. So I will be posting that this week as well. So you'll get to see this deck more than once on my channel this month. So let's see what messages we have for today, for the collective, for this week. All right, so what do we need to know as a collective for the week of, very first week of spring? So here we have the Star. All right, what do we need to do for this week as a collective? We have the 5 of Swords. All right, what do we need to release as a collective? We have the 7 of Wands. Okay. And then what do we need to contemplate as a collective? We have the Ace of Wands. Sorry. Okay. So let's see. Ooh, I almost spilled my coffee. That would have been a tragedy for sure. I'm just going to put that there. All right. So the very first card that we have here is going to be what we need to know. Now, the Star is a card of hope and inspiration, and it's something that comes after the Tower has fallen. So it's kind of the, like, our eyes are finally really seeing things as they are. And so whenever things break down, we are allowing ourselves to really see what is left, what we need to kind of work towards. And so I feel like the Star is very much a reminder of what inspires us. Like, where is our sense of what we believe in, what we've learned, what we want to kind of put a lot of our faith into. And so this is a card associated with Aquarius. So I know there's a lot of things that are going on collectively, because when I think of Aquarius, I think it's very much the collective, the humanitarianism, kind of like humanity as a whole. And I think a lot of us are wanting to kind of, what I want to call like beauty hunting in the wild, right? Where we're trying to find the people that see the beauty in being a human and what humanity holds for us. I know it's so easy to get very distracted by the things that are going on worldwide, especially like if you're living in the US, there's a lot of things that feel very uncertain. So it feels very much like the Tower card has been kind of going on for the collective here in the US. And so many of us are trying to find our sense of hope. We're trying to find our sense of what we believe in, what to kind of focus on that may be an inspiration and what we want to see in the lives that we're trying to create for ourselves. So this is a major card. And with this being like what we need to know is that maybe we need to really understand that the world that we want for ourselves and the things that we are looking for in our lives really will start with what we believe in and what we want to see. As someone that does try to have a much more positive, more optimistic sense of life, which I know isn't for everybody, and it isn't to say that I'm a just love and light girly and that's it. I think it's more of having this understanding that I would much rather try to focus on what I do have. So living a life with gratitude, living a life with, really looking at what is within my control, what is within what I can do, and how I can kind of co-create what I need and what I want. I think the star is kind of that invitation as well for us to really look within ourselves and to say, okay, what do I believe in? What is it that's inspiring me? What is it that like really makes me feel connected to the people in my life? And I think a lot of us have been very disconnected from community and connection and like other people that really are supportive of who we are and what we want. And I think that this is a very Americanized problem, if that makes sense. I think that's why so many of us like spend so much time online and spend so much time kind of looking for others that maybe speak to us in some ways, because we don't really have that in our day-to-day lives. We're so busy with just trying to survive and trying to do what we need to do that we're too tired to really build for real community. And so I think the star is perhaps a reminder of we need to know that we're here to collectively come together and find what inspires us and find a sense of hope with the people around us that are ready to help us really build the next thing, especially after things have kind of crumbled and have really shifted away from what we've always known. Now, change is never comfortable. I say this as a Taurus, right? So I think that this is a card that's just reminding us that right now it may feel very like we're starting very fresh, we're starting very new, and so it can feel very confusing or challenging, or like, oh, I don't want to be the one that like makes the first kind of like step towards these things. And I think a lot of us have forgotten what it's like to really be a person in community because we just haven't had it for so long. And so a lot of us, are feeling very lonely, or we're feeling very like stuck and kind of forgetting that we're not meant to do life by ourselves. We're meant to have community and connection and not just be like drones, just constantly going through the same things over and over again without that sense of like coming together, connecting, and finding the people that will really support us as we kind of go through all of the challenges that will arise. So it is Aries season. And so for what we need to do, we have the Five of Swords. Now, this is an interesting card in the sense of I like to look at it as like a win or lose kind of energy. And I think that the biggest thing with this is that it is very much this card that's almost saying like there's some conflicts, there's some challenges, there's some obstacles mentally that we're overcoming or that we're maybe kind of stuck on. So yes, we do have Mercury retrograde, we have Venus retrograde, like this week we'll have Neptune moving into Aries. So there is this like kind of sense of things boiling over a little bit, especially within the mind, especially within what we're thinking. Maybe this is a time where we're really starting to kind of cut away from any illusions that we've been hanging on to that don't really make a lot of sense. So I think the Five of Swords here is kind of saying like, what have we not been very honest with ourselves about? And we also have to understand that to win means and implies that someone is losing. And so winning isn't always going to be the most beneficial thing for us, especially whenever we're in the middle of a lot of conflict, or we're like being challenged, or we feel like, oh, this is going on. And I feel like collectively, a lot of us are more focused on the division versus like, okay, what if we really understand that even if I'm like, I'm pressed to win, it doesn't always mean that I want someone else to lose. Maybe there is a solution here that we're just not seeing because we're so focused on us being the most right, if that makes sense. And so I think with the star kind of pushing this energy of like hope, inspiration, faith, like really like finding ourselves in the darkness. I think with this card, it's almost saying like, hey, there is something that we need to confront or some sort of challenge that is arising. But challenges are also an opportunity for change. Maybe something needs to change mentally. Maybe some of the things that we've been thinking about needs to shift. Maybe some of the limitations we've placed upon ourselves, placed upon ourselves, are something that we're ready to kind of like look into and review within ourselves. So having Mercury and Venus both in Aries, having, they're both retrograde at the current moment, we are being given an opportunity to reflect on our personal values and what that means within our interpersonal connections, as well as how we communicate, how we connect, and how we utilize the tools of our mind at our disposal in order for us to really show up in our own personal self-identity is kind of what I would look at when it comes to the energies of Mercury and Venus being both in Aries. Now, it can feel very much like a time where maybe we need to kind of set our own personal boundaries, where maybe we need to kind of identify what we're wanting to prioritize with ourselves. So sometimes that can feel very uncomfortable, especially as a collective when we're like, well, I need X, Y, and Z, or I want X, Y, and Z to happen in my life, or this is what I'm going to value at this current moment. And as we're kind of beginning this energy in some new ways, while also having to kind of cut away from anything that has kind of limited us, I think the Five of Swords is here as a reminder that we need to really look within ourselves and look at where have we been forgetting to prioritize what we want, what we need, while also looking at how does that affect the environment that we're in. Not all of us have a lot of choices. Not all of us have a lot of the opportunity to say, this is what I choose. This is what I want to stick to. And so I think we're forgetting how to re-empower ourselves enough to say, hey, I'm going to have to say no to that, or hey, I'm going to choose this instead because this is what I'm going to value moving forward. So it can feel very much like there's a lot of stuff coming up this week that is kind of saying like, what are you going to choose for yourself when it comes to the things that really inspire you or whatever. Obviously, we can't always say no to everything that we don't enjoy. Like, that's just not how life is. But we do have a lot more power in the situation than maybe we believe that we do at this current time. Now, what we need to release, we have the Seven of Wands. I feel like this card has been following me around lately. So the Seven of Wands is one of these cards that it's not that I struggle with. I just feel like I just look at it as like it's very challenging. It feels very much like you're being kind of pushed to the edge in some ways. So it's like you're finally feeling a little bit of a sense of things going your way, of things really moving in the direction of what you wanted, but then also kind of feeling a little bit maybe perhaps defensive or a little bit alone, like you're being kind of pushed kind of, again, to the edge of what it is that you're working towards and what it is that you want. So with what we need to release is maybe the sense that we're going it alone, or that everyone is against us. Because I kind of feel like this energy, especially with everything going on in the political climate and just with a lot of us really feeling the pinch of the reality of the material world, especially here in the US and other places. I know that they're also feeling the pinch of inflation and the cost of living and this and that and the other and all of these other things. I think that the Seven of Wands is kind of saying like maybe we've been kind of pushed to the edge, but like, are we willing to fight for the things that we've been standing up for? Are we willing to say, hey, that's enough. I'm not going to put up with that any longer. Or, hey, that no longer works for me. I need to kind of move forward and I need to do something different. So I think the Seven of Wands is a reminder that maybe we're forgetting how interconnected we really are because we've been so isolated for so long. And so I think with what we need to release is the sense of I'm over here all by myself, and forgetting that like there is a way for us to kind of come back together and really stand together in a way that is of benefit for everyone involved, versus feeling, again, very isolated, very much like kind of put off to the side. And I think it's interesting to have a Wands card because I deeply associate Wands with like fire and, with Aries and Sagittarius and Leo. with the fire signs and astrology. And so I feel like it's very much this kind of like, okay, Aries is kind of seen as like the spark of life and the beginning. And right now we may be feeling this sense of like, okay, I'm really starting to understand, what I want, what I value, what matters to me. And I'm ready to kind of go out there and say, you know what? No, you're not going to push me to the edge. And I'm not just going to stand here waiting for you to come to me. And I think with the Seven of Wands here, especially with what we need to release, is this reminder that we don't have to wait until something happens for us to react to it. We can make choices that actively change and shift what it is that we're trying to do in our lives. Now, we do have Neptune moving into Aries on the 30th. It'll be the first time it's changing signs in the last 14 years. It will be going retrograde towards the end of 2025. So we are going to have a little bit of a touch back on the lessons that we've learned over the last 14 years, especially when it comes to what we haven't really been seeing clearly, maybe with our addictions, with what we believe in, with our spirituality, where we feel a little bit boundless in some ways. Neptune really rules over certain things like that. So there may be a lot of us that have this renewed sense of clarity as far as what we believe in and what we're willing to kind of work towards, what really inspires us in different ways. And so a lot of us are maybe questioning, a lot of the different things that maybe we've been carrying in the last few years. And maybe we're starting to kind of see where we haven't really chosen ourselves, or where we haven't really prioritized who we are as individuals versus what that means for a collective. So I think the Seven of Wands is a reminder that we're not here to essentially just have things happen to us. And so I think maybe that's what it's trying to have us release, is a sense of forgetting how powerful we truly are. And then maybe it's a reminder of hey, you get to kind of choose what happens and how this moves for you in the future. Now, with what we need to contemplate, we have the Ace of Wands. So this is new vitality. This is the beginning of something. It is the astrological new year. It is the vernal equinox, Astara. And so we're getting this renewed sense of it's spring, right? And so we're getting this kind of sense of what are we planting? What are we doing? What sort of things feel like they're inviting new life into our routines, into our schedules, into what we're doing. Some of us are maybe planning what we're going to do with, more daylight, what we're going to plant, what we're going to do moving forward for this year. I know for me, winter is not the best time for me to plant new seeds. And so I usually just take it to kind of be a little bit more restful, which I haven't been this winter. But moving forward, it's I feel right now I'm kind of in this mood of waking myself back up and kind of figuring out, okay, what comes next? What am I planning for? What will this look like in a month? What will this look like in 6 months? So a lot of us, are kind of looking at what is it that's trying to grow. And we're still in the middle of the eclipse season. So we are being given this invitation to kind of see where is this seed going to take me? What have we planted? When I think of the Ace of Wands, I think that it's a beautiful invitation towards opening the door towards what it is that revitalizes us in new ways. And whether this is really finding inspiration, really kind of moving into something that is a little bit more creative, a little bit more has a little bit more momentum and movement, and trying to kind of get out there and explore in different ways. I think that this is almost saying hey, we need to contemplate, what needs to shift, what doors are opening for us right now, what sort of things have we been planting, and what does that mean for us in the long term? So I think that this week may feel like we're very much reconsidering some of the things that we've experienced. Maybe we're trying to kind of find a new sense of what we believe in and what that means for what we can grow, what we have, while also releasing this energy of feeling responsible for how we're showing up in different ways and how other people may receive us. So it may not always feel very comfortable to kind of remove yourself from the responsibility of how other people may react to you. I know that that's something I tend to struggle with, but I have like my own issues with that. So I think that this is more of an invitation to kind of say, I'm showing up in this way. So that means that I can plant the seeds for what it is that I want, while also recognizing that I need community, I need connection, I need to kind of figure out what I need to build within myself and stop kind of isolating myself in different ways. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading for this week. I want to say thank you so much for your patience, for watching my videos. I don't know if April will bring more videos for me. I hope so, but we'll see. I just want to say thank you so much for watching what I post. I hope you guys have a good one and that you're taking care of one another. So make good choices and take care of yourself. Bye.